Welcome back to Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. I'm Magnum and I'm here to help you seize the gap as we close out Week 15 of the 2025 NFL season. We're talking Sunday Night Football, we're talking Monday Night Football, we're talking Fantasy Football, Draftkings Showdown, NFL wagering, the whole shebang, everything you need here to close out Week 15 in a fun and profitable manner. Thank you very much for checking out Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. You can find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to touch the thumb. And please know we are not affiliated with DraftKings or the DraftKings Sportsbook, but we are getting our odds and wagers from there. And everything is accurate as of December 12th, 2025. We've got two games and we need to know what we're working with, so let's open things up with the tail of the tape. On Sunday Night Football, the 5-8 Minnesota Vikings are traveling to Dallas to face the 6-1 Cowboys. The Cowboys are a 5.5-point home favorite, minus 270 on the money line, while the Vikings are 5.5-point road underdogs, plus 220 on the money line. Game total in this one is 48.5 points. Only notable injury issues are on the Cowboys side of the ball. Left tackle Tyler Guyton is out once again, while tight end Jake Ferguson is questionable but expected to play. No weather concerns here in Jerry's world. On Sunday Night Football, we have the 6-7 Miami Dolphins traveling to Pittsburgh to face the 7-6 Steelers. The Steelers are 3-point home favorites, minus 166 on the money line. Dolphins are 3-point road dogs, plus 140 on the money line. Game total in that one is 42.5 points. It will be a cold one in Pittsburgh. Unlike in Jerry's world, we are outdoors, temperatures around 20 degrees, winds in the 10-mile-per-hour range. So go ahead, buckle up. Going to be a cold one. Steelers might be used to it. Not so sure about the Dolphins. As far as major injury issues on Monday Night Football, the biggest one is on the Steelers side of the ball. Edge rusher TJ Watt is out with a lung issue. The Sunday Night Football matchup is extremely interesting. The Vikings' playoff hopes are dead, but the Cowboys can stay alive if they win out, so it's a big game for them. Cowboys are coming off of the big loss last week to the Lions, while the Vikings are coming off of a shutout over the Commanders at home. Very, very good game for J.J. McCarthy last week. The real question is, can he keep it up? For the Cowboys, you know they can score a lot of points here, hence the total in this game. You feel like if they can get in that 27, 28 point range, that would probably be enough against a Vikings offense that hasn't done much. But on the other hand, you forget just how talented this Vikings offense is. You know, this is a really tough spot for you in your fantasy football playoff leagues. I am not benching Justin Jefferson, jumping a little bit ahead of myself here, but there's going to be a lot of interest in what the Vikings can do on that side of the ball. So there is certainly some shootout potential in this one. But if McCarthy has one of his bad games, and he has been one of the bobbiest players, one of the most boom or busty players there are. And if he goes bust, the Vikings are going to be in very, very big trouble. The defense should be able to do enough to keep them in the game, but that's a very good Dallas offense, and it's very difficult to keep them down for long. So it might be really a case of which Dallas defense shows up. The Vikings defense has also been inconsistent, but we are starting to see some noted improvement from Dallas when they got healthier and through the trade deadline with their new additions. So if they can get it done, they should take the pressure off of the Cowboys offense, probably lead to a little bit more of a balanced attack than you've seen in previous weeks where Javonte Williams hasn't been going at quite the rate he was early in the season, but you've generally had enough from Pickens, from Lamb, and even from Ferguson, or God forbid, Ryan Flournoy to kind of keep it up for the Cowboys offense. So very curious to see, especially from a fantasy standpoint, how all the points get distributed in this one. Jamie G is not with me, but he sent me his picks and thoughts on the matchups here. We're going to start on Sunday Night Football by spitting a little hot fire, our bold takes, our hot predictions here. I'm going to say that Justin Jefferson's going to get it done for you. You drafted him in the first round of your fantasy draft. Go ahead, start him here. I'm saying he's going to get at least 120 yards, 7 receptions, and at least 1 touchdown. So do not leave Justin Jefferson on your bench. Jamie G's just going to go with a very simple, the Vikings are going to get shut out. Based on the analysis he has given me in his picks, he really looks like he expects Dallas to win here, and do so fairly comfortably. So we'll see if that continues, but I'm anticipating at least a closer affair here than Jamie G is. Then we have to find our vulture men for Sunday Night Football. These are the guys who are stealing touchdowns from the guys we want to be scoring, most likely in our fantasy teams, but also over on DraftKings and with our wagers. My vulture man this week, once again going to a backup tight end. Give me Luke Schoonmaker. He is plus 850 according to the DraftKings Sportsbook to find the end zone. Jake Ferguson expected to play, but a little bit banged up. Vikings are middle of the road versus the tight end. And we've seen Dak kind of just be willing to kind of throw it to whoever's down there. Shoemaker's picking up about 2 targets a game, so he gets in there a little bit. This is a case, all he's got to do, score you 1 touchdown, plus 850. You're loving that, right? And Jamie G is continuing kind of his idea here that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win this one pretty easily, or at least that the Vikings are going to struggle mightily. His anytime touchdown scorer, his vulture man here, is going to be the Dallas Cowboys DST. That is plus 500, so it's actually fairly decent odds for a defense or special teams to score a touchdown here. He looks like he thinks McCarthy's going to turn it over a couple of times, and Dallas will capitalize. On Monday Night Football, you have a little bit of the old, immovable object meets unstoppable force. The Miami Dolphins have been rolling recently, and you have Tua Tagovailoa, their quarterback, who has struggled mightily outside in the cold. So both of those things are true. They're both happening simultaneously this week. The real question is which one will win out. Very curious to see if there's a real impact from TJ Watt being out from the Steelers. It is certainly not a good thing for them to be missing him, but he has not been nearly as impactful this season as he was, say, 2 years ago. He's actually been falling off a little bit season over season for a couple of years now. I'm wondering if they're worried about that contract extension they handed him. His absence will certainly be felt, but I don't know if it's necessarily a nail in the coffin for the Steelers. Really, Miami's just going to come down to Devin Achane. If he gets it done, if he has a monster day, approaching 150 yards, finds the end zone at least once, the Dolphins should be able to move the ball enough, control the clock enough to stay in this game. If they cannot establish their running attack, they are in deep trouble. The Dolphins offense has really struggled to find a secondary weapon outside of Jalen Waddle. I know Darren Waller's back, but he's kind of chopping up the tight end snaps with Greg Dulcich. So it's a little bit of a mess there. I really think the Dolphins lean on the running attack, even if that means I'm also leaning on Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon the second a little bit. On the Steelers side of the ball, they're absolutely going to lean on those running backs, on DK Metcalf. Darnell Washington is still in the concussion protocol, so that could lead to a little bit more of a defined role situation for Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. I don't know that I'm going to be starting them in any fantasy leagues, but I'll at least have a little bit interest given their price points on Draftkings and maybe in some of their player props. At the end of the day, I don't know how much you can trust Aaron Rodgers. You're already having trouble trusting Tua here. It's not like Rodgers has been great. He picked the perfect time last week to have his best game he's played at least since the opener of this season, and probably one of the better games he has played in the past 3 seasons or so. If he can perform at anywhere near that level, that should bode very, very well for the Steelers' chances, especially if Tua kind of keeps doing what he's doing. I know that the Dolphins were successful winning in the cold last week up in New Jersey, but that was because they basically hid Tua. If it gets to the point where the Dolphins have to put it on Tua, where they fall behind, they are in deep trouble. So I really think they're going to concentrate on running that ball, slowing the game down, keeping the Steelers' offense out the ball, moving the chains. Could definitely lead to a little bit more of a low-scoring affair here. And let's spit a little hot fire on Monday night. I'm going to go with a tight end thing. I'm going to say that the tight ends for both teams, the Miami and Pittsburgh tight ends, combined for at least 150 receiving yards, 2+ touchdowns. Maybe doesn't sound that bold, but I'm not expecting there to be a ton of points in this game. So if there's only 4 touchdowns, I'm saying tight ends get at least half of them. And Jamie Rogers is and Jamie G is going with his guy here. He's feeling old man Rogers. His bold prediction, his hot take here says Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 300+ passing yards. Not that bold in a vacuum, but given the game scenario, the weather, that is pretty bold. It's a big number if you want to get on that over on DraftKings. So we'll call that bold enough. As far as a vulture man, the guy stealing the touchdown here, no surprise, Jamie G is sticking with it. He's going with Aaron Rodgers, plus 2,000. We saw him find the end zone last week on the ground. Can he do it 2 weeks in a row? I don't know, but at plus 2,000, I'm willing to find out. And I think that in addition to the tight ends, you're going to see the Dolphins lean on their trio of running backs this week. So I'm going with a pure vulture man here. The very, very classic backup running back stealing from the starter. I'm saying Ollie Gordon the second steals a touchdown from Devin Achane. He's plus 600 for the anytime over on DraftKings. So those are the vulture men on Monday Night Football. Ollie Gordon the second plus 600 and old man Aaron Rodgers plus 2,000. It's time to kick off our fantasy coverage with the usual suspects. These are the players you need to be plugging into your lineup. No hesitation, no surrender, no men left behind on the bench. For the record, we'll be assuming that this is a 12-team 1.0 PPR league, but again, these are the usual suspects. They should be in your starting lineup in all formats. On Sunday Night Football, on the Vikings side of the ball, the only guy you can absolutely trust as the usual suspect right now is Justin Jefferson, and even I will admit that's a little thin given the results this season. On the Dallas side of the ball, almost everybody qualifies. Quarterback Dak Prescott, running back Javonte Williams, the two big wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and you got to get the kicker out there as well, Brandon Aubrey. On Monday Night Football for the Dolphins, you're locking in Devin Achane and Jalen Waddle. On the Steelers side of the ball, you're locking in running back Jalen Warren, wide receiver DK Metcalf, and another kicker. Nobody beats the Boz, Chris Boswell. We do have some viable streaming options for all four teams. On Sunday night, if you are playing in a Superflex two quarterback league, you can absolutely consider JJ McCarthy. I don't mind Aaron Jones in a PPR league, but you have to be careful. It really kind of comes down to the game flow here. He's been involved enough in the passing game that I am there for it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that Jordan Mason steals some carries. I prefer Jones over Mason, but if you're in a bad spot in a deeper league, you need a running back three, a second flex, something like that. I don't hate Jordan Mason. Jordan Addison is probably more of a weak wide receiver four, wide receiver five here. I prefer to go with Justin Jefferson, but if the Cowboys defense pays a ton of attention to him, it's not impossible that Addison has a big day. TJ Hawkinson has been pretty inconsistent, but I can see this being a high enough scoring game. You not having a lot of other good options that you could think about going there, but he'll probably be more of an option for me over on Draftkings in the Showdown contest than as far as a fantasy football option in my season long and dynasty leagues. For the Cowboys, if Jake Ferguson plays, you can certainly trot him out there. Again, you probably don't have a better tight end, but given the plethora of options available to the Cowboys and Ferguson's injury, I'm playing it safe with him. Going to kind of wait and see a little bit instead of making him a full-fledged usual suspect where he's been at times this season. And you can also consider playing the Cowboys DST. It's been a little bit of a mixed game bag versus Minnesota, but when JJ McCarthy has a bad game, the opposing DST has a great game. So especially if you consider yourself a fairly big underdog this week, don't be afraid to pull the trigger on the Dallas DST. For the Dolphins, you have tight end Darren Waller. It's probably a little bit too thin to go with Dulcich. I would assume that they're going to ramp up Waller's participation a little bit. He's boom or busty, but he does have a high ceiling, as we've seen. He could get 2 touchdowns and only 4 targets, something like that. Not what I'm anticipating in this game, but you might, again, not have a better option at tight end. And you can also consider the Miami Dolphins DST. The pass defense has not been great, but they can rush the passer a little bit. We've seen Aaron Rodgers have some pretty bad games. I think this could be a low-scoring affair, so definitely don't hate the Miami DST. And then on the Steelers side of the ball, Monday Night Football, once again, if you are in a two-quarterback superflex league, you can probably consider Aaron Rodgers, although I don't know that he's an auto start. He is probably right around the QB 28 for me in my rankings. I'd love to get Kenneth Gainwell in there as a usual suspect. He's had a much more robust role in the passing game lately as opposed to Jalen Warren, but he's not getting the volume that Warren is getting on the ground, so just takes that kind of floor away from him. They do occasionally give him a series and some looks at the red zone, so I don't mind getting Gainwell in there, just don't think you can auto start him. And then the Pittsburgh defense special teams, also a good start here. Even if the Dolphins manage to win this game, I would assume it's a pretty low scoring, fairly ugly affair. So even without JJ Watt, I think you can do a lot worse than the Steelers DST this week. Remember, we're not affiliated with DraftKings, but we are down with the king. It's time to break down the Sunday and Monday night showdown contest. We're going to start on Sunday with your most crucial decision, who to play in your captain spot. If you are playing in a cash game, head-to-head, 50-50, double up, something of that nature, just stick with the quarterback. Play Dak Prescott, 15,600 in your captain spot. I think if Lamb was out, you could have made the argument for Pickens, but with both of them in, you're just trying to split the baby with the Cowboys wide receivers. You don't know which one is going to go off. Makes it much easier just to go with Dak here. He's at least 23 DraftKings points in his last 4 games with a 30 burger in there. So the floor is nice and the ceiling is real. If you are playing in a large field GPP, a large field tournament, you got to go for ceiling here. Floor doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm going for it. Justin Jefferson at captain, 13,200. It's a beautiful matchup. It's a price tag I never thought I would get early in the year. He was probably more in that $17,000, $18,000 range. Yes, you're going to have to depend on JJ McCarthy, but if you want to win one of these big tournaments, you got to get a little weird with it. And I love getting weird with Justin Jefferson at only 13,200 in your captain spot. If you had to pick between the two Cowboys wide receivers, a captain, you have Lamb at 15,000, Pickens at 14,700. If I had 10 lineups and I was going to play a Dallas Cowboys wide receiver or captain, I would probably go 5 for Lamb and 5 for Pickens. But if you made me pick, I think I would probably go with Pickens here, just because you have the little bit of narrative street here. You know, he was catching heat from some players in the media, former players, that kind of thing, about loafing it a little bit last week. I could see him going out of his way to try and prove himself, and maybe the Cowboys giving him a couple extra targets to help him do so. Javonte Williams, the Cowboys running backs, 14,100. Been a real kind of boomer bust prospect recently. The ceiling just hasn't been there. The floor has been fine. I think he's had at least 10 DK points in his last 5 or 6 games, but he's only hit 20 once. And again, especially when you're playing in a tournament, what you really want is the ceiling. And I just don't know that you're going to get a ceiling game from Javonte Williams here. And JJ McCarthy, 13,500 in your captain spot. I'm going to have at least a tournament lineup or two with him a captain. He is so cheap to stack given how far down the Viking skill position players are priced. I think it's hard not to at least take a shot or two on McCarthy, a captain in a large field tournament. It helps you run it back with some of the Cowboys players too, because unlike the Vikings, the Cowboys skill position players are very, very expensive. And if you want to pay for some of those expensive players, you have to find some value. So let's have another edition of The Price is Nights and see if we can find a couple of value plays for you. At 2,400, we have Luke Schoonmaker, the Cowboys backup tight end. As I mentioned, he is pretty much just going to see, assuming Ferguson plays, 2 to 4 at the most targets. But if you're going to play Dak, you could do worse as a stacking option here at 2,400. Again, probably only in a deeper GPP, but if he catches one touchdown pass, you are easily paying off the tag. So nice kind of tournament flyer stacking option with Dak Prescott. The other backup tight end, Josh Oliver for the Vikings, 2,800, actually scored 2 touchdowns last week. I do not think there is any chance that happens again. Hawkinson is definitely playing, but he is a little bit banged up. Oliver occasionally steals a couple targets. So again, if you're playing JJ McCarthy, I don't hate going with Oliver as a low price stacking option in a tournament, but that's probably as far as I'm going. Pretty much the same analysis for Jalen Naylor. He's the third wide receiver for the Vikings. He is 3K flat. He has had a little bit more upside than the tight ends. He does have some big play potential, so I could conceivably see playing him naked without JJ McCarthy if you needed a Vikings run back in this price point. So I don't hate Naylor at 3K flat. Hawkinson is 4K. It's a great price tag for TJ Hawkinson. He just has not done much this year. So again, I think you're pretty much using him exclusively as a tournament stacking option here if you were playing JJ McCarthy. And then you have the Cowboys DST 4,400. I'm absolutely going to want to have exposure to them in tournaments. I love stacking them up with Javonte Williams and even Kevontae Turpin where I can. So I like that price tag for the Cowboys. I don't know that I'm going to get to them at captain, but 4,400 in the flex looks good to me. And then you have the kicker, Brandon Aubrey, 5,400. Yeah, you can even maybe play him in your cash game. I don't like having to pay up 5,400 for a kicker in a cash game scenario. So it's probably going to be more of a tournament play, but he has real upside here. He has 2 different games this season with 22 Draftkings points. So that's 4Xing his salary here. You can definitely think about going there, especially if it's a little bit more of a weird affair. And those Cowboys coaches are willing to let Aubrey try from great distances. So, he's one of the few kickers they might scheme for to give him a 65-yard field goal attempt at the end of a half. And that's 6.5 DK points for you. So that's nothing to poo-poo there. And then you have to figure out how you're going to fill out the rest of your lineup. Who are you going to spend up on outside of the value plays? If you're not playing him at captain, Dak Prescott's 10,400. He will be in the vast, vast majority of my lineups, no matter the format. Same thing for Justin Jefferson. He is 8,800 in the flex. Javonte Williams is 9,400 in the flex. I don't hate getting there, but he's so closely priced to the Cowboys wide receivers and JJ McCarthy that I just don't know how often I'm going to. I'm going to want to have scenarios where I'm planning on McCarthy having a bad day. So I'm stacking Williams up with the Cowboys defense. I'm definitely going to get to him in that scenario. It's just that right now he's kind of a guy who's just getting you about 10, 12 points a week. I don't hate that for your cash game lineup, but I think you could probably do a little bit better on this slate. So I might actually have more exposure to Javonte Williams in tournaments than as opposed to cash games in smaller formats. JJ McCarthy, 9K flat in your flex. Again, I'm going to have some exposure to him here. A perfect tournament option, not picking up a crazy amount of ownership. I know the Cowboys defense has been better, but it's still a very positive matchup for a fantasy quarterback. So I'm definitely going to take a few dart throws on McCarthy in my lineups in all formats this week. I don't know that he is going to make my cash game lineup, but he might make my primary single entry tournament lineup. So definitely interested at that price tag. And again, you have the Cowboys wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb's 10K, Pickens is 9,800. I am more or less just splitting my exposure. I do not know that I'm going to double bang them very often. If you want to double bang them with Dak, it gets very, very, very expensive. There is a chance you could try to play both of them without Dak and just gamble on a scenario where the majority of Dak's production flows through the two wide receivers. But I think for the most part, I'm going to be splitting them up and probably just going 50-50 on each one and just hoping to get lucky. We've seen them both get there in a game or two, but not to a crazy degree. It has been a little bit more kind of either other trading off here. So just be a little bit careful with how you mix it up. You have the Vikings running backs, Jordan Mason, 7,200, Aaron Jones is 6,200. If I had to choose between the two in a vacuum, it's Jonesy. He's more involved in the passing game. He's still got a little big play juice, splits the goal line carries more or less, and he's $1,000 cheaper. But you do have to remember he is going to be a little bit higher owned. If I'm going to get one of them in my cash game lineup, which I kind of doubt, I think it would be Jonesy. I'll have a little bit of tournament exposure to Mason, but he is going to be pretty dependent on a very positive game script or busting off a long play. So I'm going to probably have more limited exposure than I will to Jones, especially if the Vikings fall behind. He could easily pick up 5-6 receptions, really pad out his scoring total that way. And then you have kind of the bottom of the barrel here in terms of the pay up guys. Jordan Addison, 6,800, Jake Ferguson, 6,600. I think the correct answer is if you are playing one of the quarterbacks, you want to play the guy you can stack him with. So if you're playing McCarthy, it's Addison. If you're playing Dak, it's Ferguson. I will have probably more exposure to Ferguson than Addison. There is a chance I will double stack McCarthy with Jefferson and Addison just because it's so affordable. It gets a little bit tricky about running it back on the Cowboys side of the ball. So I'm definitely going to have another case of split exposure here. I think in a tournament, Ferguson is probably going to be my more favorite option as we've seen him be able to soak up touchdowns and have a couple of monsters this season. I don't know that I'll get to either of these guys in cash games, but like I said, I'm also going to make sure I get a sprinkle of Jordan Addison across my tournament lineups. And let's close out Sunday Night Football by packing a stack and a back of the ack, a little mini stack to get you going here. At captain, no surprise, playing Dak Prescott, 15,600. And then Justin Jefferson in your flex, 8,800. Going to go with the cheap stacking option with Dak here. Luke Schoonmaker, the Cowboys backup tight ends, only 1,600. And then I need somebody in the right price range, and the answer is going to apparently be TJ Hawkinson. He is 4,000. So if you stack those four players together, Dak at captain, Justin Jefferson, Luke Schoonmaker, TJ Hawkinson in your flex, it leaves you 10,000 per player left. That was very deliberately done. It allows you to stack both Cowboys wide receivers to get JJ McCarthy, Javonte Williams. There's enough left so you can take whatever you want to fill this out. If I drop down any lower than Hawkinson or went higher than him, you'd get in a spot where you really weren't going to get the proper price that you want. You're going to have to get one of those other guys and leave a lot of money on the table or not quite get to what you wanted to. So that was kind of the thought process behind this deck. But feel free. It's just one to get you going. You need something that fits comfortably in the back of your act. So you feel free to customize it. On Monday Night Football, do not overthink it. The price tag's going to scare the hell out of you. But go ahead, if you're playing in a cash game, head-to-head, double up 50-50. Put Devin Achane, Dolphins running back, in your captain spot, $19,200. 19-2. Yes, I said that right. It is a monster number, previously just reserved for like Josh Allen, but it's worth it. It really is here. He has the best floor and the best ceiling on this slate, and it's really not even close. I think they just tried to get the price up enough to drive down the ownership to at least a reasonable degree. Not even sure if it'll get there, so do not overthink this one in your cash game lineups despite the crazy price tag. And honestly, he is probably your best large field tournament captain, but given that price tag and the fact he is still going to be the highest owned captain at that price tag, if you are playing in a large field tournament, I don't mind trying to pivot off of Achane. In this case, I think I would go to DK Metcalf. He is cleared to play, 14,100. You're also getting significant savings if you're coming off of Jalen Waddle down to Metcalf, and he had a ceiling game. last week. I know he had to stay overnight in the hospital with a stomach issue, but seemed to be unrelated. Should be good to go. If Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to be a little bit more aggressive, I think Metcalf will be his guy. And again, you're getting tremendous cost savings, not only from Achane, but from Waddle. It gives you a lot of flexibility to build out the rest of your lineup. As I mentioned, Waddle, he's 16,200. He's fine. He's going to pick up less ownership at captain than Achane or Metcalf. Makes him a decent enough option, but he's slowed down a bit recently. And as I said, I don't really think the Dolphins are going to want to put too much onto his plate here. So I'm probably going to have limited exposure to Waddle at captain. Same thing for both quarterbacks, if I'm being honest. Aaron Rodgers is 14,700. Tua is 14,400. Very minimal exposure. I will probably have a tournament lineup with one of them a captain. Maybe I'll work both of them in there at some point just kind of for the heck of it, but I'm really expecting this to be a lower scoring affair. If I had to pick between the two, it is Rodgers. He has shown a little bit more of a ceiling lately, and he's easier to stack in terms of pricing. So I can't believe it, but I would be going with old man Rodgers if I had to pick a quarterback in this one. And then you have the Steelers running backs. Jalen Warren is 13,500. Kenneth Gainwell's 10,500 in your captain spot. I don't think I'm going to play either. I expect both to be heavily involved. If I had to pick, I would go with Gainwell just because he's more heavily involved in the passing game and he's picking up less ownership at 3K cheaper. So all the math kind of checks out for me on that one. So, Kenneth Gainwell gained very well. Call Bob Barker because we need to play the price is nice. Find a couple of value plays for this one. I'm going to start out with the Dolphins tight end you're not thinking of. Greg Dulcich, only 1,600 in your flex. At least 3 DK points in his last 5 games. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really doesn't take that much to 3 extra salary when you're only 1,600. Has a little bit of touchdown upside here, so I don't mind him being like an absolute just stone cold value play. Maybe even a true dumpster dive here. We haven't gotten a lot of those lately, so I do not mind Dulcich. Just be aware that if Waller has a bigger role, it's not impossible that he doesn't do much at all this week. I'm kind of gambling on the Dolphins, leaning more on that 2 tight end package like they did last week against the Jets, but just be aware it is not a given. Marquez Valdez Scantling could be up for the Steelers this week. He is 2,200. Great GPP stacking option with Aaron Rodgers. If you want to go there again, make sure he is active. But my guess is if MVS is out there, Rodgers will take at least 1 or 2 shots to him. At 2,200, one of those shots pays off. It's paying off his tag. Pat Fryermuth's only $3,000 here. I think he's kind of viable in your tournament lineups if Darnell Washington is out, which I expect. I would go with him over Jonnu Smith. We did see Fryermuth have that monster game against the Bengals back, weeks and weeks ago now, but he did find the end zone twice. Been a little bit more involved lately, even though his snap counts have been yo-yoing a little bit. Darren Waller is 4,400. Definitely more of a ceiling than Dulcich, but you're paying, more than 2x the price tag to get there, and he's picking up a lot more ownership percentage. So just be careful with Waller. He could have a much bigger role this week, or he could be, still kind of basically splitting it down the middle with Dulcich. Really hard to know which way the Dolphins are going to go to it. So make sure you don't overdo it with your exposure here. And then how about the Boz, man? Nobody beats the Boz. Chris Boswell, 5,400. I am not going out of my way to put him in my lineup, but if I wind up in that range, I do not mind putting him in there. I will definitely stack him up with the Steelers running backs and the DST in at least 1 or 2 lineups where I kind of build out the narrative that Tua is going to struggle in the cold and in the wind and the wintry conditions here in Pittsburgh. So definitely going to be something I am considering. And when you're spending up outside of the captain spot, if you're not playing Achane a captain, the first thing you should be doing is plugging him into your flex, 12,800 in your flex. Jalen Waddle's 10,800. This is a weird spot where after Waddle and Metcalf, it's kind of like, all right, who do you really want to spend money on here? I don't mind getting Waddle into my lineup and maybe even my cash game lineup if it works out that way, but he's not really a guy I'm going to be targeting that much. DK Metcalf is 9,400, so that's again significant savings in your flex over Waddle. I'm pretty sure that Metcalf is going to make my primary cash game lineup. I will probably have more exposure, but beware, he's definitely going to be higher owned than Waddle is. Again, you have the battle of the 2 quarterbacks here. Aaron Rodgers, 9,800 in your flex. Tua is 9,600 in your flex. I don't know how often I'm going to get there. Again, if I have certain narratives that I'm building out and I want to get Waddle in there, maybe a little bit more inclined to go with Tua if I'm already playing Waddle in one of the tight ends or something like that. But for the most part here, I think the quarterbacks are kind of going to be very ancillary pieces, not really guys that I'm looking to get to too heavily this week. And then you have the Steelers running backs, Jalen Warren 9K, Kenneth Gainwell 7K. Going with Gainwell here. The production has been pretty close. Again, I expect Gainwell to be higher owned given his production and the price tag. There are certainly lineups where I will have both of them, and I will go with Warren over Gainwell in a couple of spots. Might even be a little bit more of a sneaky tournament play because Gainwell is going to be higher owned. But I think this is a spot where both teams are really going to lean on their running back. So I'm going to have a lot of exposure across the board. And then finally, let's finish up Monday night, packing a stack in the back of the ack. No surprise at captain, going with Devin Achan, 19,200. Then we're going from the window to the Waller, Darren Waller, 4,400. Go with the other tight end. Let's throw the Muth in there. Pat Fryermuth, 3K flat. And then finally, he gains very, very well. Kenneth Gainwell, 7K flat. So you put Achan a captain, Waller, Fryermuth, and Gainwell in your flex, leaves you 7,800 to work with on this slate. That's plenty. You're not going to need to spend up for two more really expensive guys here. So it gives you a lot of optionality going forward. You can always swap in Greg Dulcich for Waller if you want, and that'll open up a tremendous amount of savings just by doing that one move. So a lot of optionality for you here. Good luck this week, and it's a nice little stack that fits comfortably in the back of your rack. This is it, your final chance to pad that bankroll in week 15. We're going to bet it, bank it, blow it right here on Seize the Gap. Please remember, we are not affiliated with the DK Sportsbook, but that's where we are getting our odds and wagers from. Everything is accurate as of December 12th, 2025. Here on Bet It, Bank It, Blow It, our preferred currency is the Cricket coin. In Cricket, we trust all of our wagers will be in the form of Cricket coins. We'd like to open things up with the golden grab bag. These are wagers that don't fit neatly into anything else we are doing, nor are they our absolute favorite wagers of the week, but we like them enough to pass them on to you. Last week on the Sunday Monday night slate, Jamie G went 1 for 2, booking a loss of about 140 coins. He hit on the Houston and Kansas City under 44.5 on the alternate total, but missed on my Philadelphia Eagles having over 19.5 points. I booked a profit of about 167 coins. I went 2 for 2, hitting on Patrick Mahomes to have 1+ interception and Cameron Dicker, the kicker, to make 2+ field goals. So putting us together, last week we turned a profit of about 27 coins on the Sunday Monday night slate in the grab bag. Across all weeks on the Sunday Monday night slate in the grab bag, Jamie G is up about 347 coins. I'm down about 15 coins, putting us up about 333. And across all slates in the grab bag, Jamie G is up about 529 coins. I am up about 4 coins, putting us up about 533 overall. Jamie G has 3 submissions for the grab bag this week, starting on Sunday Night Football with Dak Prescott, his guy. He went with this last week, I think, going back to the well here. Dak Prescott, 260+ passing yards. That is minus 132. Wagering 100 cricket coins on that returns about 176 coins. I like that one quite a bit. He's also got another Cowboys prop here. He is going with 100 coins on George Pickens over 70.5 receiving yards. That is minus 113. So a wager on 100 coins returns about 88. And then finally, you know he has to do it. He wants to gain very well. 100 cricket coins on Kenneth Gainwell, 20+ rushing yards for Jamie G. That is minus 153. So 100 coins to bring back about 165. I also have 3 offerings for the grab bag this week. I'm going to also start on Sunday Night Football, and I'm going to go with another kicker. Brandon Aubrey is just amazing here. This is an easy one for me. I'm going to put 100 cricket coins on Dallas to have the longest field goal made. That is minus 120, 100 coins to bring back about 183. Will Reichert has struggled from distance. Meanwhile, the Cowboys will let Aubrey let it rip from 60+ yards. So loving this one. Then I have 100 coins on Monday Night Football on the 8 train. Give me Devin Achan, anytime touchdown score, minus 130. 100 coins to bring back about 177. I believe he has scored in 9 of his 13 games so far this season. And then, of course, nobody beats the Boz. 100 cricket coins on Chris Boswell, 2+ field goals made, minus 153. 100 coins to bring back about 165. Hey, kickers need some love too, and I love when they make us some money. I'm usually not one for beating around the bush, but Jamie G is usually the tease guy. You know my tease. I am not usually the one out in front with the teasers, but without Jamie G this week, I'm going to have to do what I have to do. Last week on the Sunday Monday night slate, Jamie G and I each had a teaser. Jamie G hit his. He had a two-legger. He hit Houston at Kansas City under 47.5. Philadelphia at the Chargers under 47.5. So that turned a profit of about 74 coins. I had a three-legger. I hit two of three legs and booked a loss of 100 coins. I hit on Houston plus 9.5. Philadelphia at the Chargers under 47.5, but missed on Houston at KC over 35.5. So together we booked a loss of about 26 coins. For all weeks on the Sunday Monday night slate, Jamie G is down about 378 to the tees. I am down 200. Our collaborative teasers are down 60, putting us down about 638 coins overall. Across all slates with the teasers, Jamie G is down about 704. I am down about 126 coins. Our collaborative teasers are down 60, putting us down about 890 cricket coins overall for our teasers across all slates. I'm going to go back to the well with a three-leg 6-point teaser this week. This is plus 140 as available on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Leg number one, I'm taking Minnesota at Dallas over 42.5 points. Yeah, you can be a little scared of JJ McCarthy, but if you look at the Cowboys, there's literally not been a Dallas Cowboys game this season where less than 44 points were scored. So feeling great about the over 42.5. Then on Monday night, I'm going to take the under. Miami at Pittsburgh under 48.5. Nice correlation here with Pittsburgh being favored and the under hitting. And if you look at the Dolphins game, it's almost the reverse of the Cowboys. There have not been more than 44 points scored in a Dolphins game since week 6. They've been low scoring, ugly affairs. Given the way the Steelers would like to play, given the weather, that makes a ton of sense to me with the under 48.5. And then finally, leg number 3, the Miami Dolphins plus 9 at Pittsburgh. Yeah, the Dolphins have lost some games this year. Before, the 7 losses were by 4 points or less, and Pittsburgh has only won by a touchdown or more once since week 6. So everything points to this being a low scoring, close affair. So that's the 3-leg teaser. Minnesota at Dallas over 42.5, Miami at Pittsburgh under 48.5, and Miami plus 9. 100 coins at plus 140 to bring back 240 cricket coins. You know my tease. Normally, I get to relax during the teas and get all of my ducks in a row. And by ducks, I mean my degrees of degeneracy. This is the 3 degrees of degeneracy where we start out kind of nice and innocent and wind up living under a bridge with dogs. Last week, I missed all 3 of my degenerate wagers, all 3 degrees, booking a loss of 175 coins, missing on CJ Stroud 2 plus passing touchdowns, Philadelphia at the Chargers under 37.5, and Jaden Higgins anytime touchdown scorer. For the Sunday Monday night slate across all weeks in the degeneracy, I'm down about 869 coins, and across all slates, I'm down about 1,523 coins, so a certified degenerate. Right up top, degree number 1, we call it the flounder, just kind of dipping your toe into the waters of degeneracy. Degen 101, like flounder in Animal House. I'm putting 100 cricket coins on Kenneth Gainwell to have 50 plus combo yards, so that's 50 plus rushing plus receiving yards, minus 113, 100 coins to bring back about 188. Absolutely love this one, been extremely involved in the passing game. Expect that to continue this week. Degree number 2 of degeneracy, we call the Barney in honor of Barney Gumble, our favorite degenerate down at Moe's Tavern. He's got 50 coins, and this week he's going to do something fun with them. He's going to go to that Monday Night Football game, Miami at Pittsburgh, and he's got 50 coins on DK Metcalf to have the most receiving yards of anybody in that game. That is plus 225, so 50 coins to bring back about 163. I like it. I like it a lot. And then finally, the 3rd degree of degeneracy, named after Rickety Cricket. It's the Cricket. He is living under the bridge with dogs. It's hard to picture somebody with a worse life. So he really needs to hit this one, try to get out from under the bridge. He's got 25 coins, and he's going to the superstar. He's putting 25 coins on Justin Jefferson, bouncing back here, carrying you in your fantasy football playoffs. 100 plus receiving yards for Justin Jefferson. That is plus 379. It's only got 25 coins, but when you put him on J. Jeff to have 100 plus receiving yards, you bring back almost 120. That is good business. Maybe not enough to get out from under the bridge permanently, but at least give you a little vacation from the degeneracy. Degeneracy can be depressing, so we like to balance it out with a partay. More specifically, the parlay partay, which is awesome, fun, possibly profitable, but the cost of admission is a parlay. Last week on the Sunday Monday night slate, I had the only offering for the partay. I hit 2 of 4 legs on my 100 cricket coin parlay, so lost all 100. I hit on Nico Collins 60 plus receiving yards, Philadelphia at the Chargers under 43 and a half, but missed on Will Anderson to have 1+ sack and Saquon Barkley to have under 90.5 combo yards. So again, booked a loss of 100 coins last week at the partay. Across all weeks on the Sunday, Monday night slate and the parlay partay, Jamie G is up 503 coins. I'm up 20 coins. Our collaborative parlays are down 200 coins, putting us up 323 coins overall. For the parlay partay across all slates, Jamie G is up 553 coins. I am down 380. Our collaborative parlays were down 500 coins, putting us down 327 coins overall. Once again, I have to carry us this week. I have the only offering for the partay. This is a 4-leg SGPX parlay. This is basically a feature over available on Draftkings. Make sure the X is enabled. It allows you to parlay single game parlays with basically anything else, including other single game parlays. For the first leg, we're going to dial down the Dak Prescott passing yards just a pinch here to 250 or more. So Dak Prescott, 250 plus passing yards. That is minus 170. He's hit this mark in 7 of his last 8 games. See no reason for that not to continue. Leg number 2, we're going with Jonesy. Aaron Jones, Vikings running back to have 15 plus receiving yards. That is minus 126. He's hit this in 6 of his 9 games this season. That means he's only missed it 3 times. One of those games was last week where he had 0 targets because the Vikings won in a shutout. The other one was, I think, week 3 where he left with an injury. So really, there's only been one kind of normal game this season where he didn't hit this. So I feel great about that. Aaron Jones, 15 plus receiving yards, minus 126. Leg number 3, we're just going to recycle the Devin Achane anytime touchdown scorer, minus 135. Absolutely love it this week. Again, he's found the end zone in 9 of 13 games this season, be it by land or by air. And then finally, leg number 4 on the Steelers side of the ball, we're going to trust DK Metcalf to keep it going here. DK Metcalf, 5 plus receptions. That is minus 106. He has hit this in 3 of his last 4 games, and he's had at least 7 targets in 4 of his last 5. So it looks like the production and the volume is ticking up a little bit here, just in time for us to take advantage of it. So you parlay these 4 legs together. Dak Prescott, 250 plus passing yards. Aaron Jones, 15 plus receiving yards. Devin Achane, anytime touchdown scorer. And DK Metcalf, 5 plus receptions. Your odds are plus 764. So a wager of 100 coins brings you back 864 coins. We hit that, and we are going to partay. As always, we have saved the best for last, our trip to the glorious Golden Goose, provider of the golden eggs, which we pass on to you so you can turn them into those pure, unadulterated cricket coins. Last week on the Sunday Monday night slate, I booked a loss of about 33 coins. I went 1 for 2. I hit on Houston plus 3.5, but on Monday night I missed on my 2-leg single game parlay. I hit on Philadelphia at the Chargers under 43.5, but missed on Saquon under 70.5 rushing yards. Jamie G booked a loss of about 100 coins, also going 1 for 2. On Sunday, he missed the Rashee Rice 60 plus receiving yard prop, but on Monday, he hit the Dallas Goedert 25 plus receiving yard prop. So that put us down about 133 coins as a duo last week. Across all weeks on the Sunday Monday night slate for the Golden Goose, I am up about 1,571 coins. Jamie G's up about 329, putting us up about 1,901 coins overall. Across all slates, all weeks, for the Golden Goose, I'm up about 236 coins. Jamie G's down about 66, putting us up about 169. Jamie G is going to lead us off on Sunday Night Football. He's going to keep it pretty simple here. He has 250 cricket coins on the Dallas Cowboys to have over 24.5 points, minus 166. So 250 coins to bring back about 401. Seems pretty probable to me here. I don't mind that at all. For my Sunday Night Football wager for the Golden Goose, I am going with a combo yards deal, but not the one I usually go with. I'm going to say that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens combined for 175 plus receiving yards. So you get to add their 2 receiving yardages up. I have 250 coins on that. It is plus 131. So if Lamb and Pickens can combine for 175 or more receiving yards, I'm going to turn my 250 coins into about 558. If you actually combine what their under overs are, it's about 158. So I'm overshooting it slightly, but you're getting a good number here to do so. If I wanted to go to the over 150 combined yards, it's only minus 157. So I'm fine with taking my chances given the better odds that I'm getting here. And then that way you don't have to guess on which one it is. Even if just one of them gets 175, you're good. On Monday Night Football, I'm going to keep it simple by doing another combo yard thing, but slightly different, more of my usual flavor. I have 250 cricket coins on Devin Achand to have 120 plus combo yards. That's 120 plus rushing plus receiving yards. It's also plus 120. I love how all the numbers are coming together. So you put 250 cricket coins on that. Devin Achand gets 120 plus combo yards. You turn your 250 coins into 550. He's hit this in 3 of his last 4. He didn't get there last week, but that's because he only had 8 touches, leaving the game early with a rib injury. On those 8 touches, he still had 105 combined receiving yards. So I feel very confident he would have done that had he been in there. So he would be going for Johnny 5, number 5 in a row this week. I am riding the A train, baby. And Jamie G is going to close us out on Monday Night Football. He is going with the Steelers on the alternate spread. He has 250 cricket coins on Pittsburgh, minus 2.5. Again, the alternate spread there against the Dolphins, minus 136. So 250 coins to bring back about 434. Well, hopefully we can bring you back again for our next episode. We will be back next week getting into everything you need for week 16, be it in your fantasy leagues, over on Draftkings. You're putting a couple bucks down on the games. Whatever you're doing, we got you covered here on Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Thanks again for checking out the show. Any thoughts? Did we help you with something? Did we screw you over? Let us know in the comments, on the social media, wherever it's convenient for you. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like those flaps, FL8PS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please touch that thumb. I am Magnum Mills, reminding you to seize the gap so you can stop being so inefficient. I don't care if you're old, seize the gap. Good luck this week.